Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is, golly, what is today, Paul? It's Tuesday, July 28th, 2020. Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee. Adam Freeman coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. I want to encourage everybody to listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify to all of our episodes of Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. We have over 70 episodes available for you to listen to, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. And by all means, follow us on Twitter at D3Sports. It's right there at D3 Sports, DTHRU Sports. A lot going on today, Paul. You even texted me today earlier, said, man, we got a big show coming up. So
you'd be excited. First of all, I got to understand, this is day 2 for you going back to work, and you still can't remember the day.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, you would think that, man. You would think that I'd be back in the swing of things already, but I got to be honest with you, I'm not. I mean, I'm just not. I mean, and today was my second consecutive 8 to 5. Actually, it was more like 7:30 to 5. I had to be in a meeting at 8 online, logged in a meeting at 8 o'clock. So I had to get up, get going, got rolling about 10 till 7, got showered and headed out. And it's been another long day, man. I don't know if I can handle this much longer, but I'm going to have to. So it was a interesting day. We had 3 virtual meetings scheduled in the morning, followed by a break, and then 3 additional virtual meetings. My very first virtual meeting, you know how we do our things here. We have the background with our hot takes, and it's basically a PowerPoint slide, and we advance through it and all that sort of stuff. So we share the screen with each other and with our viewers so they can see. The presenter this morning, attempting to do the same thing, couldn't figure out why the slides weren't advancing. And the reason why the slides weren't advancing is because they were not in slide presenter mode. They were in the mode where you have the slide you are currently looking at, and then you have the menu of slides on the left. And they couldn't figure it out. Everybody in the meeting, there's like 135 people in this meeting, and they're all muted to this person, but they're not muted to each other. So everybody's like, hit the slide presentation button. Does she know she's not in slide presentation mode? Can she not hear us? And you're hearing all these people say this. And the lady's like, I just can't. Let me see if I can get this on let me try it on my other computer. And it was 45. It was basically 20 minutes of that out of a 45-minute presentation.
Well, it sounds like you're jumping to the last hot take already. So
So we'll get to that point. I know. First thing that caught me tonight when I got home was, and we did a show earlier in the year on Project 11 with Alex Smith, the Washington quarterback who had a devastating leg injury, almost lost his leg, and has been in rehab for over 14 months. He is back on the roster and is currently 3rd on the depth chart and is in the mix to possibly play. He has been cleared to play. This is mind-blowing. I saw some footage of him working out. Of course, highly supervised, but still, the fact that he can even drop back and throw a football is just remarkable. Just remarkable.
I got to ask you this, Adam. I mean, we're going to get to the Patriots, but does Alex Smith or his family feel like he is a legitimate high, help me out here, for the COVID, a possible candidate to, because a pre-existing condition? Thank you.
I don't think so. That was not really talked about. That was not even, I don't think, on anybody's radar that was reporting the story. I think most everybody was just floored that he was even in the conditions that he was in to do the drills that he was doing. My bigger concern as an athletic trainer would be, he's not a spring chicken. I mean, he's 32, 33 years old. And by no means is he past his prime, but after an injury like that devastating, does he need to play? I don't know that he needs to play. I think it's just inside of him. He wants to play. He's a competitor. And I think if he is medically cleared, which he is, he's going to get reps at camp. I really do think he is. I mean, after all, he plays for the Washington football team, where your number one starter is a second-year guy who didn't do that well last year, and then the backup is also a second-year guy who they picked up from Carolina, the kid by the name of Allen that finished up for Carolina last year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if he competes, he could possibly be their starter. I mean, he's got tons more experience than they both do. I mean, I would love to see him get the starting job. I just don't know if as a humanitarian, I want to see him get the starting job behind that offensive line.
Yeah. Their best O lineman is in San Francisco.
It's San Fran right now.
That guy Zach Yenzer, the O lineman.
Yeah. Zach Yenzer's coaching him up over there in the Bay Area. So, I don't know. I think it's a great story. Again, if you have not seen the documentary Project 11 on ESPN, you've got to watch it. Also, go back and listen to our episode on Project 11 and Alex Smith. You can see it. It's one of our top viewed episodes on our YouTube channel. It's one of our top 4, as a matter of fact, so you can check it out. But another interesting thing, Brees, is I know you love the whole bubble concept with the MLS and the NBA, with how they've been able to avoid interactions, avoid a lot of positive tests. And here's my question as we get to our second hot take, hopefully here. Uh-oh.
You need some help. You jinxed yourself.
You know what we got? You know what? I jinxed myself, Paul. I jinxed myself.
Well, I got to say, let me say quickly
exactly
something about the Alex Smith deal while you're working on that. The head coach for the Washington football team is Ron Rivera.
Yes.
And you talked about, I think his name's Kyle Allen, right?
Kyle Allen, yeah.
The backup quarterback that played for the Panthers. I think Ron Rivera is pretty high on this kid. And I don't, they may be getting pressured to play Dwayne Haskins, but I don't think Ron Rivera have any kind of issues throwing in Allen back there if needed.
Yeah, I don't think he will either with their history. I think he's going to probably get as many reps as Haskins does in training camp. So I think there's a pretty good chance that he could be your opening day starter with maybe Alex Smith as his backup. But if they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, I think Alex Smith is definitely, as long as he's medically cleared, I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, I think you got to keep 3 quarterbacks with the whole COVID situation.
Oh, yeah.
No-brainer.
Especially since they are currently starting and they are not going to be in a bubble. Okay? So here's my question. Do you think at some point during the season they're going to have to shift towards a bubble type scenario? What do you think?
100%.
So you think
they got to?
Yeah. So they may start, but they're going to have to switch.
I'm not 100% sure this training camp situation. I mean, are they all? Let's talk about the Titans because that's these guys going to go to the hotel and they're going to stay there, old school style. You remember back in the day, and I think they're going to bubble up that way. They're not going to let them travel back and forth to their homes, is what I've understood.
Well, I know for a fact here in Atlanta, Flowery Branch is where the Falcons training facility is, right up 985. And basically they all reported today. They got tested and they went home. So until the results of the test come in, they're not even allowed in the training facility. Now, once the tests come back and if they're negative, I think then it goes into sort of the dormitory type traditional old school where they stay at Flowery Branch for the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks, or however long the training camp lasts. Even though a lot of these guys live in northeast Atlanta, I don't think you're going to see them be allowed to go home. I just don't think that don't think it's a prudent move, and I don't think they're going to allow that. So, I mean, it's pretty traditional because they typically don't. They're typically up there
Right.
for the duration. So I don't think that will change. The change will come when opening day and the first games start being played. Then what do we do? If we play Philadelphia in week 2, do we all travel up there on a Thursday and, work, that's sort of, but I honestly think that the plan B has already been put together. We just don't know it yet. So wherever the satellite sites are, they are being talked about. I wouldn't be surprised if, you have to look at sort of it. I mean, Georgia is experiencing a little bit of an uptick, as is Florida. So Jacksonville and Atlanta are out. So you're looking at something along the eastern seaboard for those eastern teams. In the Midwest, I think you could probably see a Kansas City being a place that they could go. And then out west, you're maybe looking at, California's a mess. You're maybe looking at Arizona as being a place where they could have, several teams play, or at least be around that general vicinity. I don't know. I mean, the guys that get paid the big dollars, they've already made that decision or are in the midst of having a plan, because you've got to have a plan if things go awry.
Yeah.
So
Let me
and go ahead.
I was going to say a couple things about this bubble thing. One, I know you're going to enjoy this a lot. The Titans did report today the veterans came in, had one specific gentleman that did not show up on day one, Vic Beasley Jr.
I told you the guy's a loser. He is. Whatever you're paying him, if it's more than $1.25, you're getting ripped off. I'm just telling you.
Number
this
2,
guy,
the greatest bubble. Listen, I can't take it anymore, but the Vic Beasley negativity. When he shows up, he's going to be ready. Unless he bows out, and then I'm going to let you have free reign over it. Number 2, there wasn't a greater NFL bubble for the Titans when they used to go to TSU, Tennessee State University, and live in the dorms for the 3. Guys like McNair, George, Eddie George, Frank Wycheck, all those guys, Brad
Bruce
Hodge,
Matthews, yeah.
Matthew. Can you believe these guys set foot on TSU's campuses, lived in those dorms for 3 weeks? It was ridiculous.
I can't. Did you ever go down there to training camp?
Yes.
Was it bad?
Well, come on. Is it a great situation? No, but I don't think the Players Association would ever go for that anymore. But my third quick take on this NFL bubble thing is this: you got people that are going to be assigned to I would call the wild card players, the Lou Williams kind of guys, the Pac-Man Jones kind of guys. Would he be allowed? You're going to have someone on staff to stick with those guys 24/7, put tape on their door,
oh yeah,
style, and say, "Hey, you leave, and we're going to find you big time."
Yeah, it's going to be like it's like what we used to do when we used to take the swim team to Athens. Okay, get out the masking tape. All right, because kids were sneaking out left and right, and you're basically going to have to treat them like they're 17 years old if you're going to try the whole dorm situation. And I totally agree. They're going to have their hand held, and there's going to be about 5 or 6 guys on each squad you're going to have to look out for, and every coach knows who those dudes are on his roster. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I hope it goes off without a hitch, because I got an email alert from my fantasy football league yesterday. It's been officially opened up, so we can go in there and sign in and stuff. So I'm looking forward to playing fantasy football. Had a lackluster year last year after making it to the championship game the year before. So I'm looking forward to some fantasy football. So I hope this gets ironed out sooner rather than later. So sticking with the NFL, you brought this one up, so I'm going to let you lead with it. So I think I know where it's going. And our hot take is Patriots tanking.
I
And
mean,
you
this
love
morning,
you love the conspiracy theory when
yeah,
it comes to the Patriots.
absolutely. You're exactly right. They woke up, and all of a sudden, the Patriots guys are declining to play, and it's just a trickle down effect to where there's like 6 maybe now. I haven't
Yep.
checked it in a while.
6
And
of them. Yep.
yeah, I believe one of the high profile names like Dante Hightower.
Dante Hightower was one of the big dudes that was like, I'm out.
All of a sudden, the Patriots have like 22 million in salary cap. Are they going to use that to persuade Clowney? According to some sources that I know or don't know personally, but I like to think they know me. They said they feel like that would be a slap in the face to Cam Newton if they try to bring in and use all that money for Clowney. They said if they use some of that as because Cam Newton got $0 as a signing bonus, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the big push and ploy when you get a contract. Get that signing bonus money, get that stuff up front.
Yeah, get the
Cam Newton got
guaranteed
none.
money, and he got
Yeah.
none.
So
All his basically 90% of his contract is incentive laden.
right,
So
performance.
he's got to play. For him, he's got to have a season. Now here's the caveat here is those guys that opted out, they've got till August 3rd, which is Monday, to make a real decision.
Right.
So even though they have come out and said, I'm not playing, you know, the rubber doesn't meet the road till Monday.
Correct.
These guys.
Now,
So
the conspiracy is this. Did Belichick construct this whole thing
did he construct
tanking
COVID?
the season to get Trevor Lawrence?
I think Belichick flew to China back in February and probably brought over a vial of COVID-19 and just sprinkled it along the way at every
Like
airport.
pixie dust?
Pixie dust. Got out. He's like, look, I got this master plan. Listen, we've talked about this before, tanking for Trevor. And I think secretly he loves Trevor Lawrence. He loves his skill set. He loves his arm, loves his athletic ability. And quite frankly, he would fit perfectly in the Patriots system.
Yes.
Perfectly. So, I mean, it's interesting. Again, it's one of those topics that, you could spend hours talking about and dissecting each part of it. Did he dream up this scenario? I mean, they signed Newton to a 1-year deal. He's a Band-Aid. If they go 4-12, I don't think Belichick cares.
Hey, I have a Patriots. I have a buddy that's a huge Patriots fan. He tells me that Jared Stidham will never take a snap for the Patriots. He was just a ploy to this whole thing.
I can believe that, because you remember what they were all saying, like, they were all giving this to the media that, hey, we're really high on Jared Stidham. He's our guy, blah, blah, blah. And I think that was just to kind of get everybody's, it's like, hey, look over here. See what's in this hand? Jared Stidham's over here. Ooh, look, we love him. He's great. Look over here. And then this hand's over here going, who can we pick up? Ooh, Cam Newton's still available. Nobody wants him. Okay, let's grab him for like basically nothing. So it's a little sleight of hand there by the Patriots, and that's why they've won 6 Super Bowls. I mean, that's their formula, is to not tie up a lot of money in their players.
Speaking of money.
Yeah. Speaking of money, that gets us to hot take number 4. And Mahomes gets the big deal, so he decides he's going to go shopping. So when guys like Mahomes go shopping, they don't go and buy, a motorcycle or a 4-wheeler or a boat. They buy a portion of a Major League Baseball franchise. I love this. Okay, I love this. He knows he's a Kansas City guy for probably the rest of his career. This gets him just entrenched in the community. Kansas City folks, they love their Chiefs, but they love their Royals too. His dad, former Minnesota Twin, He grew up playing baseball. He could probably right now throw a 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball. I think this fits him perfectly, and I think this is a great move on his part. Good for him that he's got the money to do that. But if I'd signed a $450 million contract, if I had that money, I'd probably be looking for some team to buy, a stake in, just like Mahomes. So good for him.
Well, here's my question: Did the owners of the Kansas City Royals have this light bulb go on their head and say, "Listen, we're financially having issues this year. This guy's making more money than we are. Let's talk him in to chip it in, and we'll give him." Do you think the owners pursued Mahomes or Mahomes pursued the Royals?
It sounds to me like he was presented with an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I don't think he went out looking for it. I think it was presented to him for sure.
Yeah.
I just think that's the way it's going to shake out eventually.
Yeah. Hey, listen. When we
I
start,
don't know how many people are involved in the ownership group. Could be 10,
right.
Could be 15. So you don't know how big his stake is, but still.
Yeah, it's just like when we're going to get huge in this podcast game, and then people are going to come out of the woodwork looking for us to buy them cars. The only one we're going to buy is maybe Darren Cooper.
That's right.
Maybe Michael Rambo.
Maybe Rambo and Cooper, because Rambo makes up 14% of our audience.
Yes, he does.
And he makes up the entire part of our audience in the state of Kentucky. So Rambo, if you listen to this, don't think we don't appreciate it. And we're building this for your future.
I have a water, those water jugs that you flip over and put them in the cooler. Like in an office.
Oh yeah.
The big plastic jugs.
Oh yeah.
So my in-laws have one of those jugs full of coins. They don't realize they're sitting on $1 million right there. Rambo, when we get it big, buddy, you can have that jug of coins.
Take it down to Coinstar in the back of your truck and unload it. Hey, maybe that's why there's a coin shortage. It's because of your in-laws.
Right.
They got all the coins.
I told them to trade it in for a Bitcoin, but they didn't understand.
They didn't get the conversion rate on the Bitcoin. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that gets us to our next topic, and we're going to stick with kind of football here. It's been a very heavy football episode tonight so far. Earlier today, the state of Virginia voted 34-1 to push back their high school football season.
Not even close.
Yeah, not even close to where they can begin February 14th with first game starting March 1st and having to be done by May 1st. So even though they're pushing it back, it's still abbreviated. Now, here's something else that piggybacks on that. I was talking to a source, one of our coaches, who let me know this information, and he said, "Hey," I was asking him, "How are we going to be this year?" Because we went up in classification. We won the state title in 6A this past year, and because of our school population growing, we now are in the highest classification in the state of Georgia, which is 7A. So in our region is the returning 7A state champion, Marietta, and your boy, Harrison Bailey, who luckily is gone. Hillgrove, which is a perennial, Elite Eight team in the playoffs. North Cobb, which is always good. Walton, which has been good in years past. So we've got a pretty stout region, but it's only 6-team region, so we only play 5 region games. So I was asking him how we were going to be in the region. So I was like, "How's Marietta?" Because that's who I was concerned about. He's like, "They're down." He's like, "They lost a lot of their line." He goes, and then he dropped this Virginia story on me. And he said, "Hey, look, there's already word that a lot of these top flight high school players in Virginia are looking around in the state of Georgia for somewhere to come play in the fall."
Wow.
So don't be surprised if there's an influx of talent from the state of Virginia to the state of Georgia for high school football. Now, this could be a huge shift in the balance of power, because I know where they're going to go. They're going to want to go to Marietta. They're going to want to go to Collins Hill. They're going to want to go to North Gwinnett, Camden County. All these places that are perennial powers, that's where they're going to want to go. So these guys are. I mean, they were just told today they're put off until Valentine's Day 2021. I guarantee the phones have been ringing off the hook in South Georgia and Metro Atlanta to all these places. These kids looking to move in. And right now, you can still do it, and it's a legal move. If you move and establish residence and register, they can play because it's a legitimate move. And plus, with all this COVID stuff, the GHSA's probably got all kinds of exemptions and exceptions, just like colleges in transfers. So it's basically, there's a trickle-down effect from this Virginia thing, and I think it's going to be that you're going to see a lot of transfers from the state of Virginia coming into Georgia and maybe even Tennessee. So just be on the lookout for that. So what's going on with Tennessee high school football?
Man, Tennessee, I mean, literally just hours ago, Governor Lee said, hey, resume contact sports. Play on.
Really? As of today or as of tomorrow?
As soon as he signs this bill, which apparently does not take, too long to push through. I mean, I think it's just going to be back to the original schedule of, starting in contact, probably Monday.
Yeah, that's when we're supposed to be full contact is Monday. Now, here's another interesting thing that just came out in the AJC. There are 6 member schools of the GHSA that have ceased all football activities because of an excessive amount of COVID positives.
Wow.
And as of today, there have been 655 high school athletes test positive, football players.
Really?
Yes. In the state of Georgia. Now, again, they're all minors, so we don't have the names, but 6 schools have stopped practicing.
Yeah.
Now, when you stop practicing in the state of Georgia for football, when it's football season, you got a bunch of positives. So
I'm a little wary of the situation up here, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, let me put it to you this way, a little more personal. If this was 3 years ago and Connor Brees is playing for Brentwood High School, and he's getting ready, he's been through summer, maybe not summer camp because they didn't have it, but the date is looming that, hey, we can start working out in groups larger than 10. How do you feel as a parent if you're a football parent this year compared with years past?
I mean, I'm a little uncertain because of the unknown, right? If my son was a senior this year, you're talking hypothetically, I would say, hey, if you want to go, you can go. I would say if it was any other year, if he was a sophomore or whatever, I'd be saying, let's wait and see how this plays out. I know that's not the greatest answer, obviously, but these kids put a lot. I mean, these kids they're not going to. I mean, the percentage of them going to play in college is slim to none, right?
It's less than 1%.
Yeah, and so this is it for them. And I've asked him, all the time, hey, if you could do it again, would you do it again? He's like, oh yeah, I miss it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best time of their life. They're playing with their best friends who they've probably been playing with since they were in 3rd grade, and that's how it is here. Kids grow up playing pound ball from the elementary school level on up. So it's very ingrained in the community. And that's just the way high school football is in the state of Georgia. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
I've said this before, our high school athletes are the least monitored group of athletes on the planet right now. They are.
Sure.
I mean, I went up to the office today. I got paged up to the office and said, hey, your thermometers are in. ordered 2 brand new thermal scan thermometers. And that's basically all we're doing because that's all we're being told to do. And so we're following protocol, but I don't know that the protocol is adequate for really what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So we can only do what we can do. I think that we're scheduled right now to have our first scrimmage August 28th, first game September 4th. That's still on. We're petitioning the county to let us have a second scrimmage because our spring game got canceled. So we're trying to play that game August 21st. So we're trying to have a second scrimmage, essentially, because we have scrimmage, opening game, then we have an off week, 2 games, then another off week. So, I mean, in our first 4 games, it takes us 6 weeks to play our first 4 games because we have 2 off weeks in the first half of the season. So we have both our off weeks before we even hit our region schedule. Our region schedule is the last 5 games of the year. So I think by then we'll definitely know what's going to be going on. But speaking of positive tests, we get to the Florida Marlins. And I think now we're finding a little bit more out about, as you said the other night, how they got all these positive tests. So Major League Baseball has conducted over 6,400 tests. Of the 30 teams in Major League Baseball, 0 positive tests unless you are a member of the Florida Marlins. And like you said, we were concerned about it and we weren't sure. You're like, they got it in Atlanta. And I was like, well, they didn't play. Well, then I was like, well, yes, they did. They played an exhibition in Atlanta. That was their last exhibition. So you brought it up the other day. These guys are the same dudes that broke curfew, went out, and then just moved on to their opening day city, and now they're testing positive.
Man, there's something about Atlanta down there. The wings are fantastic.
The wings, the nightlife just must be too alluring for these guys. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know anything about it. I'm an OTP guy. That's for all of you guys that are not familiar with the Atlanta area. That's an outside the perimeter guy.
Gotcha.
And especially since the Braves have moved to Cobb County, I have no reason to go ITP inside the perimeter. I have no desire to ever go inside the perimeter for anything unless I am driving 75 south to get on I-20 east to go to Augusta. That's it. Okay. Otherwise, I don't care anything about the world of Coca-Cola. I don't care anything about the aquarium. Centennial Olympic Park. It doesn't interest me one iota. I can find everything I need outside the perimeter. Well, that's me.
Speaking of the Marlins, the word is that they're done until next Monday.
They are done till Monday, which basically messed up the Yankees, the Nationals, the Orioles, and the Phillies. So one team affected 4 other teams.
That's correct.
And I think that's the greater issue here is not just the 13 positive tests for the Marlins and the 2 coaches. Yep. It's the ever-reaching effect that they're having on all these other teams that they're supposed to play, that they just played, for the city they were in, all of those things. And another thing people don't understand, the schedule, they're playing 60 games in 66 days. There aren't like off days. Like you're traveling after a game and playing the next day over and over and over again. So, you don't have off days to recover or to quarantine. It's just, you just don't have it. It's not in the schedule. So I don't know what they're going to do. Part of me just says, hey, look, the Marlins aren't any good anyway. Send them packing like the MLS did in Nashville. Just say, hey, guys, thanks for trying, but you're done for 2020. Okay, go back to South Beach and go rollerblade on the boulevard. Okay, see you in spring training. That's just my opinion. They were never gonna challenge for anything. But Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what happens moving forward, but yeah, they have definitely thrown a wrench into the whole restart by that just one mistake of going out one time. All right. All right. So that gets us to our human interest, and you can add anything you want to this human interest. I just thought about this one because today was such an utter debacle when it came to trying to get all of our stuff going. Um, technology has come a long way. It's come from when you and I were growing up. We're getting excited. Sitting in front of the TV playing Pong on a rainy day on our Atari. To now you've got Xbox Live and PlayStation 5 coming out, and role player games and playing games online, and the graphics are better.
ESPN2 right now is showing NBA 2K
tournaments. You got esports now.
Yeah.
There's that, and then of course cell phones. They went from being the size of a brick when we were 12, 13 years old to now I've got as much computing power as I had with my first. I've got more computing power than I had with my first computer in the palm of my hand in my cell phone than I did with my first computer. Everything's at our fingertips. But it's sometimes technology can be too much, and sometimes we depend on it a little too much. And today was one of those days. Everything was geared around virtual education, virtual meetings for the teachers. And we found out early on, about 8:05, who's going to have trouble come August 17th. And it was bad. It was bad. Just trying to use this.
Names.
Do what?
I know you don't want to name names.
I'm not going to name names because I can't even remember their names.
Okay.
But I will say this. Now, everybody's familiar with how Zoom works. And when you're running a Zoom meeting, you can either just have yourself showing, or you can just have the speaker showing, or you can have what we call a gallery view, right? Okay. So this meeting starts in gallery view. We got one dude who's laying on his couch just in his shorts and a t-shirt, and then he covers himself up with a blanket, and he's on his phone like this. And he's got his computer sitting on his coffee table, and it's showing him his camera's on, and he's just chilling under his blanket. I mean, I've got to say, it was so bizarre. I took a picture of it. I'm going to send it to you. It's unbelievable. And our department chair texted the head of our department at the county. It's like, hey, you got a guy here who's chilling in his in his shorts and t-shirt at his house, laying under a blanket, playing with his phone on his couch. And it was a bizarre scene. It was crazy. He finally, about 10 minutes into it, turned his camera off, but at that point I'd seen enough. I don't know. What's y'all's technology situation?
Yeah, I sat through a 6
in
hour
Williamson County.
I sat through about a 4-hour Zoom meeting today, but that's what my question to you was. When you get on these Zooms, are you in video mode or no video mode?
I go video mode. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I basically no video mode. I got no interest in and I would say the percentage is about 75 no video to 25.
Really?
There are people out there that want to be seen, obviously.
Yes, I agree. And then there are people that want to be seen live, like myself. I don't mind being there live. Then there are people that'll put their selfie in the little hole,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
Are you the selfie in the hole, or are you just I don't care, I'll take whatever the default image
set
is?
it up. It's not a picture of me. It's a picture of our school, not mascot, but just a G
logo, the big
logo.
G. Okay. See, that's okay. See, to me, if you're going to be in a Zoom meeting, you got to pick. I mean, you got to either have something a selfie or you got to be live. Don't be the guy who just has the default little like computer gray person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean,
And don't be the person that unmutes yourself accidentally, supposedly, and causes havoc for the rest of us. That we all have to go through the whole gallery to figure out who's unmuted.
Well, yeah, and it's the person that's unmuted, and you know, no offense to you, Paul, 'cause you got 6 kids, but the person that's unmuted is always the person that has like 3 kids running around.
I know. I know. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, stuff's breaking in the background. I mean, I mean, nowadays we have to talk about, you know, we would talk about, you know, people back in the day, people would go to classes to learn how to learn proper etiquette during a meal. You know, where's the silverware, all this stuff. Now we got to have Zoom etiquette.
Yeah.
Like classes. Like, how do I, like, there was a meeting today, and the topic was how to establish your digital personality.
Very good.
That was the title of it.
Now my question is this: did you use that backdrop during this?
I did not, and I really should have. In fact, the problem with it is it's not Zoom. It's on like Teams. So if I can find out a way to do that on Teams, I'm definitely doing it from here on out.
Yeah,
Definitely doing
your digital personality, man.
That's you want my digital personality? This is my digital personality. You can take it or leave it. This is who I am, for better, for worse. I've been doing this for 23 years. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people that feel like me that are really resistant to this change. We're going to have to change, and we're going to have to do things differently. You know, I'm going to go, like, our principal's being great. She's giving us you know, a broad, wide berth if we've got issues. Like, you know, some teachers got young kids at home that they have to teach, and they have to teach. So they have to teach their classes, and they're in charge of their kids' instruction. So they have to do things from home. She's letting them do that. Ella's going to start going to school face-to-face in the county we live in. So I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to do everything from school, just to kind of at least get a little bit of normalcy, to feel normal, like I'm teaching. You know, I'm in a building at least doing it, you know. So, you know, technology's good in that way. It's good in a way that you and I can do this. If we didn't have technology, we wouldn't be able to do what we've been doing since March 26th.
That's right.
You know what? And you know what that is? Just bringing sports to the masses. That's what we've been doing for almost 4 months now. We've done this for 4 months.
Yep.
So, just can't wait to see what is on the other side and what comes out of it. But again, another great episode. We're going to have some more hot takes for you tomorrow night. See what else comes down the pike, because we never know what's going to happen. Again, Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee. Adam Freeman here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to thank you for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul, and check us out on all of our different platforms, Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Google Podcasts, iHeart, and Spotify. You've been listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.